Question 2 of the Rebbe's analysis of this Rashi was that Rashi is misquoting the text in offering an explanation as to why Moshe formed the Nachash out of Nechoshet on the basis that both the snake and copper contained the three letters Nun Chet Shin. So that when God told Moshe to create an image of a Nachash, Moshe took the liberty of making it out of Nechoshet. The only problem with this is that God had never instructed Moshe to formulate and create a Nachash. Moshe was told to SICHAH saraf, and therefore the linkage of Nachash and Nechoshet falls away. In effect, Rashi is misquoting the text to justify a commentary that he borrows from the Bereshit Rabbah. In response, it was suggested that, based on an assumption that Moshe would never transmit information to the nation that he had not heard from God, the Rebbe invokes a thesis that not all information is recorded in the text, and that in actuality, although the text states SICHAH saraf, a more accurate account would have been that SICHAH nachash saraf, that for whatever the reason the text did not record the word nachash, but in actuality Moshe was told to formulate the image of a nachash that had caused, or had the ability to saraf, cause the individual bitten to burn up with a high fever, and if not treated, would eventually die. To this the Rebbe asks that if we are willing to accept the premise that God instructed Moshe to SICHAH nachash saraf, why can't we also assume that God told him to, in addition to making a nachash, that this nachash should have been made out of nechoshet? That in the instruction of SICHAH saraf, God actually instructed Moshe to SICHAH nachash nechoshet saraf. And if that be the case, the entire commentary of Rashi to nachash nechoshet from the standpoint of Pshuta Shel Mikra is invalid. In response, the Rebbe suggests that although not articulated specifically by Rashi, he does respond to the implied question that has been raised when he writes, Lo ne'emar lo la'asota shel nechoshet, which on the surface was treated as a rhetorical question. We might now read it as a statement of fact and a response to the implied question, that while God instructed Moshe to formulate the image of a nachash, he did not instruct him to make the nachash out of nechoshet, which then begs the question, why not? To which the answer is that the substance from which the nachash was to be made from the standpoint of HaKadosh Baruch Hu was immaterial, and it was Moshe's decision that it be made from nechoshet. The basis that Rashi had is to be found in the commentary immediately preceding the statement of fact, a commentary that, as we noted, should have been attached to Pasuk Tet, but for which Rashi attaches to Pasuk Chet because it functions as a preamble to the Nachash Nechoshet play on words. And specifically, Rashi can base his assertion on the observation that the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah makes regarding the entire episode. As we noted previously, when the narrator of the text informs us that anybody who had been bitten by the Nachash would vehebit el Nachash HaNechoshet v'chai, would stare at the Nachash HaNechoshet that Moshe made and recover from the effects of the snake bite, Rashi, quoting from the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah, observes that the recovery from the snake bite was not affected by merely gazing at the replica of the snake. In other words, the Nachash Nechoshet had no magical powers in of itself. It was merely a tool through which the nation could focus their thoughts in prayer towards God. The form of the Nachash concretized the idea that the nation had sinned, and the result of that sin, they were attacked by these poisonous snakes, and that they needed to look towards the heaven in prayer and teshuvah. Nevertheless, there was no need for that Nachash to be made specifically from Nechoshet. And that preamble is the basis for the statement of fact and a rhetorical that if God did not have a need that the Nachash be made of Nechoshet, copper, why then did Moshe make it out of copper? To which Rashi answers that there was a wordplay between the snake, Nun Chet Shin, and copper, Nun Chet Shin Taf. With this, we also answer the question as to why commentary was attached to Pasuk 8 rather than to Pasuk 9, and the response is that the commentary linked to God's instructions to Moshe forewarns also the implied question that could be asked, and allows Rashi to make the statement that he makes in Pasuk Tet. And with this, I shall bring to a close the presentation to one of the Rebbe's Sichot to Parashat Chukat.